Our next guest is a comedian who's been around for a long, long time. His show, Miserably Happy, last year was his 6th solo show at the Edinburgh Fringe. He's one of the most well-liked comics around for reasons he can explain to us now. Welcome to you, Tiernan Douieb.
Thank you very much. Can I explain to you now who your source is?
Oh, I didn't reveal sources. Absolutely not.
Well, that's fair. Okay.
You're just an all-round nice guy. Everybody says so.
Well, okay. They obviously don't know me that well.
So, the Edinburgh Festival 2018, you apparently have better things to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've recently become a dad, so I have got a little, currently 3-month-old girl, and in my head I thought maybe it would be best not go to Edinburgh this year and focus on parenting. But I've realised since that actually this would have been the easiest year to take her because she's very portable. Yeah. And probably next year and then the rest of her life is going to be harder when she's running around and needing more attention paid to her. So I've probably made a slight error, and I've got so much baby material, so I feel I could have, at least had an hour of just going, when will I sleep again? Why am I always covered in poo? But I've chosen against it. So,
things that non-parents probably wouldn't understand, or at least you'd hope that they wouldn't understand.
That's true. It would be, to be fair, it'd be a very niche just for parents show. But hey, there's a lot of parents out there because that's how humanity continues to, exist. So,
it's endless.
It's fine. Yeah,
it just carries on and on. A few years ago, you set up an event in London as an alternative to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Tell us why you set that up.
The Phoenix Fringe. It was just because at the time I think there were quite a lot of acts. When we set it up, it was just when the Free Fringe was kind of beginning, and there were quite a lot of acts that went, actually, I can't afford to do Edinburgh every single year, and also some acts that just wanted a break. And we said, hey, why don't we? There's lots of us still here in London. Why don't we try and do something else? And so our first year, I think Russell Howard came and did 3 dates for us, and we got lots of quite good names that were just wanting to try something out, but without spending a month in Scotland, as much as I love being there.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you also want the sunshine. Today may be accepted when it's really hot, but sometimes you just want, a year away. And so we ran that for about 4 years, myself and Tiffany Stevenson as well, and then the Phoenix pub. And then sadly we had one not very good year and had to stop doing it, and management changed. But it was really good fun. It was a good way of... I don't know, I love going to Edinburgh, but sometimes I've started to now try and go 1 year on, 1 year off, because I think it makes me write a better show if I've got 2 years to focus on writing a show.
Yeah.
And it makes me really look forward to it if I have a year away from it as well. Whereas every August focused on it is a
bit of a drag.
Yeah, a bit much, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, do you think those issues that maybe led to the Phoenix have got better as the things improved in Edinburgh, or is it just one of those cyclical things?
I think some things have improved. I think a lot more venues have decided to make it affordable. Still, maybe not the big ones, even though we're sitting in one right now. But I think things like Monkey Barrel, Heroes of Fringe, and Free Fringe, I think they've all kind of made it easier for an act to come and do it.
Yeah.
But still, then you've still got elements of Edinburgh like accommodation, PR costs, all the other stuff that just, as a self-employed person, it's really hard to justify to yourself, all right, I'll just spend $8,000 this summer rather than earn money. and that's pretty tough. And I think part of what we did with the Phoenix Fringe was the whole point was, no, you as an act get all the ticket money, there's no charges for doing this. And so everyone walked away with several £100 for doing a show.
Right.
And you go, well, it's not, and we found it working with the venue. They were like, no, it's not hard for us to do this. We get all the money from the booze, so why wouldn't we do this? And I think if anything, kind of made us open our eyes a bit to Edinburgh and go, oh yeah, it's a bit weird how this works, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, maybe let's not start a revolution just yet.
No, of course not. No.
But over time, why not?
Definitely, I think it's more that I think Edinburgh needs to exist, and it's going to continue existing, and I think a lot of people need to do it still. But it's a shame that there isn't, somewhere elsewhere is great. And I hate being very capital centric because there's so many other parts of the country. But like London has a lot of stuff going on in August, and I always think it's a shame that comedy kind of disappears for the month.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough month for everybody. I mean this show obviously is about trying to bring more performers together and talk about these things and kind of share their woes and stuff.
Well, that's one of the biggest things personally for Edinburgh. And I do like going, but I have a big problem with doing the same show in the same room every day for a month. And I found every year that, which I know everyone experienced in that middle week, they hit a bit of a hard.
Yeah.
It's almost cabin fever, I think, and I definitely get that. I really suffer from that whenever I do it, and that's why I normally need a year away to forget that that's what I go through, and then I can come back. But there is something about just going, other festivals in the world, like Melbourne or whatever, they have several days off a week. And Edinburgh's you can take days off. And in fact, I don't know why more people don't. We should always just say, right, I need at least 1 or 2 days off a week.
Venues don't like
They don't like
do
it, no. And also, especially if you're doing a ticketed venue, financially it doesn't make any sense to do.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard for your brain. Like, we get this big adrenaline rush. And something that is very specific to me, because I'm type 1 diabetic, and I only found it a few years ago from my doctor, but every time I walk on stage, the adrenaline rush raises my sugars up, and then they peak for 2 hours and then drop down. And that's been affecting my overall blood sugar reading for years now, and I had no idea.
Right.
And every year in Edinburgh, you're doing that every day, sometimes 5 times a day. And your health, that can't be great for you.
Yeah, I get. Do you do a lot of guest spots in Edinburgh? So you do your own show and then you go do guest spots where you kind of...
Yeah, I have done in a lot of years. I've tried to sort of slim it down a bit. But there've definitely been days where it's come to the end of the day and I'm like, I've done 6 or 7 shows today.
Because you've done a lot of free fringe stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, the last couple of years, yeah.
How do you find that works? As opposed to the kind of straight up ticket sales model as a performer?
Good and bad. I'd say 2015, it worked amazingly. I think it's the first year I've ever come away from Edinburgh with profit, with a really substantial profit.
Okay.
And I thought, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then 2 years ago, I got put in a smaller room because of timings and I broke even. But I didn't have the same debt. So in terms of that, it's great. But then it's harder work because you're doing everything yourself. You're your own tech and your own flyer and, and sometimes you just want to focus on the show.
Yeah.
So it's with everything, there's pluses and minuses. So
I mean, I've always found it amazing that comedians can do that, because whenever I've been to Edinburgh, it's been with theatre stuff. I've had a whole team of people. There's been other people in the show. There's been other people around the whole time. And you just think, no, some people just come on their own and just walk out, do it, and then go, and then they're doing guest spots and they're flying for their own shows. I mean, how do you? It's a hard slog. It
is hard. I think I've definitely realised that as I've got older, it's got hard. I think when I first went to Edinburgh in 2000, I went in 2005. And that was much easier for me. What was I, 24? That was fine. Right. I could very easily do that. And I find now I'm just I don't quite have the same energy. Especially after doing a show and often doing Comedy Club Kids and everything else. Well, by the end of it, you're burnt out. But yeah. It's good. You get caught in the bubble, and part of the excitement about the bubble is you're in the Edinburgh bubble and you just push through, and then in September you die. And that's what happens.
That's fair enough. So, have you done any of the? So you've done flyering yourself, organising. You ever had some of those big hoardings? You ever bought those?
Yeah, I've never done the mega ones because I also don't ever feel that I'm a big enough act to do it. Right. I suppose I've got this weird old-fashioned thing in my head where when I first went to Edinburgh, the only acts that did those were the big acts who kind of they'd earned those hoardings, and I always feel like I haven't earned those yet.
Fair enough.
I will have one of those when I've earned it / can afford it.
When you're up for the prize?
Yeah, you sort of feel, I don't know. I never feel like I've got a good enough reason to do it yet.
Where's your favourite places to go while you're in Edinburgh?
That's a really good question.
Where should people go check out?
Last year, I discovered Leith, which sounds stupid because I've been to Leith loads before, and it didn't used to be that nice a place.
Right.
It used to be a slightly terrifying place at night, for a southerner especially. But last year I stayed in Leith, and every day being able to look out at the sea was a dream. Yeah. But also they've got so many beautiful places to eat that just take you away from the festival. I think to have a little breather. Same with Portobello Beach. Yeah. It's just worth, if you get the time when you're in Edinburgh, which is hard because things are busy, but if you get the time to just remove yourself and have a stroll along that beach, it does wonders for your brain.
And I think lots of people who go to Edinburgh kind of just don't realise how close stuff is. They completely forget how stuff works. You can get a bus, from the centre of Edinburgh and be at the seaside in 20 minutes.
Well, I've brought a car up a few years. I've done the drive up, which I love the drive up and back from Edinburgh. It's beautiful. But you can be by some of the most beautiful locks and beautiful countryside within an hour's drive from Edinburgh, less than. Yeah. And I did a couple of years ago. I know it'd been 2015. I was up. My wife didn't come up with me that year. and I took my day off and I just went and drove along like the east coast of Scotland for a day and went to see nature reserves and beaches, and I was like, this is the best day off I've ever had. Just by myself going, look at this car and no flyer.
And you could hire a car, like if you didn't have a car with you, you could hire one. I mean, the other thing is where you're going to park. If you take your car out to Edinburgh, where you park it.
Yeah. There's tips. Right? If you go just outside the old town, I mean, it'd be like a 20-minute walk into Edinburgh, but it's all free parking. So I left my car there for the month, and would just every few days walk to check on it and come back. Good excuse to have a nice walk as well. So there's ways to do it, definitely. And I think you just have to. I've just found over the years I've had to find ways to keep kind of calm on and use my day off as a proper day off and go, right, what can I go see, what can I go do that takes me away from this? Because it's mad. Again, it's so hard to explain to somebody that, say, hasn't been. But if you've been, and I know you know, it's such a good atmosphere, but it becomes so overwhelming, I think, when you're there for a month. And just any chance you can get to go outside and go, look at this beautiful world that we're in, and then kind of come back to it.
I think that is fantastic advice. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
I just wanted to ask you, your 2015 show was called The World's Full of Idiots, Let's Live in Space. Having now got through the last 3 years, do you feel like you went a bit early on that?
Yeah. Do you know what I had the biggest problem I had in my show last year, which I admit I look back on it and I think, and you can now watch it on nextupcomedy.com, but I don't feel it was my best show, and I think part of that reason was I didn't have any. My views hadn't changed. I felt like my 2015 show was still. My 2015 show was largely about how it was about a book by Commander Hadfield. It was called. Who
was in space?
Who was in space, and he wrote an astronaut's guide to life on Earth. That's what it is. And he wrote all about how all the skills he needed to be an astronaut are actually brilliant for being a human being generally, because it's just about being aware and being on top of things, and kind of, a lot about mental health and a lot about being prepared and wanting to expand and explore. And my show was about that. Like, why don't we do this? Why do you have to leave Earth to treasure Earth?
Yeah.
And I still feel like that. And last year when I wrote my show, I was going, I'm still angry about all the same things. We're still being awful for all the same reasons. So it's another reason why I'm taking a year away this year is to kind of go, what else can I kind of bring to an hour rather than just going, right, we need to sort things out.
Yeah, it's tough times for comedians, particularly. You do your political podcast as well, don't you?
Yeah, partly political broadcast I do every week, and I had one, this will probably be irrelevant by whenever this comes out, but I wrote a joke on Twitter last night about Michael Gove tore up some sort of Brexit report, and I joked about how it must have only been 1 page long, so it can't be very good. Turns out, actually, he did only tear up 1 page because that's all he could manage, and I'm thinking, already that joke is pointless, because this is the world we're in.
Wow.
But hey, it's fun. No one can ever complain that there's nothing to write about right now. If you're a comic and you're saying I've got nothing to talk about, you're an idiot. Like there's so much to talk about. There's so much, whether you're choosing your own life or whatever. We're in a world that is full of, that whole thing of may you live in interesting times. For comedians, we can endless source material. That's not a bad thing. I find that every time I feel miserable, I think, well, at least I've got lots of work. I've got loads to talk about.